Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is the Hummingbird Assembly, where our intention is to stimulate thought, create connection, and expand consciousness. We are an assembly of people who will teach each other to find the miracle of joyful living through life's circumstance to accomplish that which seems impossible. I'm Reverend Michelle, and it's my honor to lead you. Our announcements this week are the same as they have been for the last few weeks running, so I'm sorry for everybody who's getting bored. In the center of the table, you'll find our two boxes. The green box is where I invite you to write out your discussion topics, and anything that maybe comes out of our discussions that you're hearing and you want to explore farther, please write that on there too, if you'd like to do that. Don't worry if you put a suggestion in the box. You do not have to lead the discussion. I'll still do that. The white box is where we collect donations to help us support the burgeoning church. We are like this close to getting our charitable status. I'm so excited. Did Janet tell you? I'm so excited. So we should have that any day now. So there are envelopes in there if you would like to put your name on them. We'll be able to issue receipts very soon, which makes me very happy. We continue to collect awakening stories. So if you would like to submit your awakening story to the Hummingbird Assembly, the idea is to, once we have enough of them, compile them into a little ebook for anybody who comes to our website to not feel quite so alone and to maybe have some understanding of what they're going through in their own lives. So if you would like to submit, our email address is admin@hummingbirdAssembly.com. That's admin@hummingbirdAssembly.com. We will not use any stories without letting you know that this is happening, and just to make sure that you're all fine with it in the end. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. The final announcement is that our target date to be at the beach, because yes, we have a date now, is the last Sunday of June, which is June 26th. So that is our target date, weather permitting. We are working on continuing this location as a rain date, because there were a few Sundays last summer where we were sitting in, a deluge under the pavilion. So in the event of rain, we are planning to continue to meet here. But on June 26th, which is the last Sunday of the month, we will be at Sunrise Rotary Lakeside Pavilion Park. I think that's what it's called, Sunrise Rotary Lakeside Pavilion Park. It's south of Bailey, just off of Brock Street. The exact address will be available on our Facebook page, so please make sure to pay attention to that. We will be updating the events to reflect that shortly. And I think those are all of our announcements. So with all of that done, let us begin with our opening intention. May I come to understand that blessings are everywhere, that my attitude will affect outcomes, that challenges are often gifts in disguise. May I come to trust that most things can get better with time, that my instincts and gut feelings have value, that a positive attitude makes things go smoother. May I come to see that I have many skills and talents I can use, that I am a positive influence on many people, that there are those around me who wish me well. May I come to value that today is a blessing to be enjoyed, that each person is unique and important, and that each moment of my life has meaning. For our discussion topic this week, we're going to revisit something that we spoke about a few weeks ago. I'm not sure how many people were here for that. I had this idea, thanks to a link that Janet posted on her Facebook page, that perhaps people are reluctant to submit their awakening stories because they don't even really know what that means. What does it mean to be awakening? And Janet linked to something called the 10 stages of awakening that the author put forward, are commonalities that the author has seen in his experience and in the experience of those around him. So a few weeks ago, we started discussing these 10 signs, and I forgot to hit record, which was a shame because this is an important conversation. So we're going to revisit it, and I'm sorry for anybody who was here for that discussion, but perhaps you'll have some different insights to share. We did only discuss the first 3 of the stages, and so we'll begin back with stage 1. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so the author wrote in the preamble to this list of the 10 stages of awakening, I do not believe awakening happens in stages. However, there is a common thread or flow to the events that awakening brings and how it starts to slowly transform a person's life. After going through my own awakening and seeing the awakening of many around me, I've noticed a series of stages that a person seems to go through. Here are the 10 stages of awakening I have observed through others and through myself. I share them in the hope that they can bring clarity and peace to those going through an awakening. So we're just going to revisit the first 3 because I forgot to hit record last time.
And you have hit record today,
I did.
right?
I'm so proud. I said to you, okay, I'm about to hit record. Bam, and then I did it. High five.
Yeah.
Okay, so stage 1. You are despondent about life and are unhappy with the current state you are in. You feel unsupported or frustrated by life or those around you. You start feeling the desire to take your power back and to make changes. You feel the desire to take your life into your own hands and take responsibility for it. You no longer want to rely on others or external events for your happiness. Just setting the intention to claim your power back helps to activate your energy, your chakras, and your soul. This causes you to open your eyes, and awakening has begun. Anybody have any comment on that? Does anyone feel like that's a stage that they are currently in? Was?
That was pretty much what you described there was my eye-opener.
It was exactly how you felt.
Exactly. It's what brought me to say I need to change. I need something different to happen. You know, when you're young, you're programmed, or that's not the right word. Anyways, programmed to believe certain rules or stuff like that, and I was at a point that I needed to break that because it was all negative. It was really affecting my life, and that was it. But exactly what you described is exactly what came into my head.
Yeah.
Something needs to change. I need to do this by myself. Of course, I had my wife pushing me over the years, and
Sure.
finally awoke to the spiritual path, and that's where I am now. I'm still going.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, but
Did you say you're not moving?
I'm not perfect.
Oh, you're not perfect. Yeah. None of us are, right?
No.
It's the glory of the human experience.
I'm lucky.
I like that.
Good one.
I find that definition interesting because to me that is the definition of total disconnect. Right? You're so disconnected from everything. You're so lost. You have no idea what you're doing, and then that is the beginning of the awakening. So how many people feel disconnected? And you're right, they wouldn't know that that's the beginning of an awakening because to me that's total disconnect.
A lot of this stuff sounds like depression, right?
Yeah.
Like the start
Yeah.
of depression.
Yeah.
Which I think is absolutely goes hand in hand with disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have anything else they want to add to stage 1, or should we move on? Okay. We did explore this quite in depth, but I want to get to new stuff.
Okay.
Stage 2, you are able to see life in a whole new light. You experience a sense of bliss, euphoria, and freedom, but there is also a pain. Suddenly, you are confronted with all sorts of emotions surrounding your past and how you've chosen to live your life. You begin to question everything. You start to challenge everything. It sounds like the teen years.
Yeah.
Does anyone feel that they may be in stage 2 now?
I think the challenges come up, like, say if you've already sort of gone through that, the everyday process of like fighting those changes, like when people are challenging the way you are living now, I feel like you kind of step back into that a bit, either defending it or rethinking things, just like, oh yeah, maybe this would be easier, or I don't know. I find I get pulled back when people like make comments, or like you start comparing lives, like say if you're having a bad week or something, you start comparing lives that you're not supposed to do. And I'm just like, oh, how did I get down into this this way of life and everybody's doing this and I'm doing this. And then, yeah, I just find I get rolled back into that sometimes. But then I can relate that.
And I think that's a really key point, right? That as the author says, I don't believe the awakening happens in stages. And I often say that it's always the same wound. And I think really life's like a cha-cha, right? You go forward, you go backwards. You go forward, and you go backwards. And you have fun doing it with style and pizzazz. And there'll be places where you're far beyond stage 2, and then suddenly you'll realize that it applies to a totally different area of your life that you hadn't considered before, and then you're back to stage 1.
Yeah.
And then you move forward, and then you go backwards, and you move forward, and you go backwards. I really think it's like an ebb and flow, right? And as we grow, perhaps we move further away from stage 1. Maybe we don't go back to it, but I think it's an ongoing process for sure. Yeah. The part that really stands out for me is that you are confronted with emotions surrounding your past and how you have chosen to live your life. I think that's a really key statement, that you made these choices. Because most times when we are, I don't know how to say not awake. Like I don't want to say asleep, because I don't think any of us are really asleep. But if you're not conscious and like engaged in the power that you have in your own life, you do not think that you made these choices. You think that life is happening to you. And I think a key evolutionary change in the awakening is you understanding that, in fact, I did create this. I didn't do it consciously. Perhaps I didn't realize that I was doing this, but oh my God, I created this. I made these choices. Why did I choose this? And then you're back to stage 1. Is there anything anybody else wants to say about stage 2? The angsty teen years? No? Okay. So in stage 3, there is a push-pull between staying awake and closing your eyes. There's a fear of what will happen if you continue on the path of awakening. You are at the point of taking a leap into the unknown. Things around you start to crumble. Your beliefs, the way you have lived your life, all start to become meaningless or mistaken. You start to feel stuck and bewildered. The ground you walk on suddenly feels shaky, and you know if you continue, it will implode. At this stage, many people go back to sleep, but those who continue begin to transform.
There are times where I do feel stuck.
Where you do feel...
I do feel stuck, but I feel like when they define the beliefs, like I didn't really shatter any of my beliefs. It actually kind of brought all my beliefs together and made it stronger in a way. It made sense of them.
Your own personal beliefs, as
Yeah.
opposed to someone else's personal
Yeah.
beliefs.
So like when I pulled away from the church, like I had certain, like I wanted to encompass everybody, whereas some religions don't like include everybody, right? So when I pulled away from that, like I'm like, okay, that's a good core value. And then like I had different beliefs of like afterlife or like my path in life and stuff like that. And that sort of all came together when I was going through that awakening process. So like I feel like that got stronger for me. Whereas, and then obviously there's the fear that always
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm still over here, freak you out, and make you doubt every decision you made. And I think that's the fear what makes me feel like I'm standing still half the time.
Right.
Because it's hard to take a leap into the unknown.
That's your ego
Yeah.
making you afraid.
Yeah. I'm just like, hey, if you take a job that's safe, but you may not be happy doing that. Or,
So you said that you didn't feel like your beliefs crumbled.
no,
You
yeah.
said you felt like they came together.
Yeah.
For me, I felt like there were areas of my faith that continue to be the same. Like I still believed that God loved me. But I did not accept, and maybe that's the difference. Maybe your beliefs were not the beliefs you were told you had to have. Maybe that's the difference. Because I was thinking, like, we were both raised Catholic, right?
Yeah.
And I was not, as a Catholic woman, you're not allowed to have a personal relationship with God.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's not a belief I ever accepted. So maybe that's the key.
Yeah. No,
Because you don't have to reject it if you didn't think that was true.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of anything that I ever thought that was like, oh yeah, that's the way it is. And completely shattering. I can't even think of anything right now.
I think
I'm
as
sure there was.
I think as kids, we believe what our parents tell us to believe because that's
Oh,
their
yeah.
job, right? Like
Yeah.
we believe, oh, this is what it means.
Everything they say is like, that's what my dad said, or like,
Yeah, yeah,
they said this, so it must be true. It's sort of like Wikipedia.
yeah. And I'd always go back to my dad was right because he has a gun, so he'll shoot you. My father was a cop. How about anybody else? Anybody in this place now where you're pushing away from conforming, following your hamster wheel?
I never had a hamster wheel.
Sorry, I can't hear
I
you.
never had a wheel. My parents are very anti-hamster wheel people.
You had a twister board.
Like my dad is Catholic, but he's not strict. And my mom's very spiritual.
Sorry?
My dad is a Catholic, but not very strict, and then my mom is spiritual, so they never really enforced too much on me.
Right.
Didn't you say they were hippies a bit?
Yeah, they're hippies.
Sounds like fun.
But I think when we had this discussion before, you were talking about how you left your job
I did.
and how that was a big leap of faith.
Yeah, I still feel good. Like everyone's like, have you felt a little like, no, I don't feel sad at all. You see me on Facebook with the popsicle?
I do.
Tanning off. Yeah, no, I don't feel bad at all. Like not even a little bit sometimes. Like I'll feel a little sad, but not for that.
Oh, way to go, girl.
Just a really good decision.
And I think that's because you chose to not go back to sleep.
Yeah,
I think now you are beginning to transform.
I felt like I couldn't. Like I couldn't step in, like I can't waste any more time in my life just like doing that. And it's not even like I worked there for 7 years, so I can take it when people like tell me I'm doing stuff wrong or whatever, like yell at me over the years. Like I can take it, but like I felt like I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I'm not coming back here.
Right.
No to the disrespect.
Yeah, that's it. Like I always thought it was normal that all jobs are like that because Portuguese people, it's in your culture that you're just lucky you have a job, so you do it all you
Yes.
have, and you get very like I had a work addiction. I know that now. Like the more I read up on it, I'm like, oh. Yeah, so it's just when I went to my dad, he'd be like, just do what your boss says. And like recently, he's just like, no. He's like, that's insane. No, that's not normal. So,
Yeah. This stage connects a lot to what we were discussing before we started recording about what happened when you were leaving your family's faith, and you were starting to say what happened, like
Well, so when you start to challenge the things that you've been taught, people around you are not happy because you're changing, and then now you're questioning their belief system, and they're not ready to address it, so you become the outcast, right? Mm-hmm. And it can be difficult because the family ties start to break down, and you can start feeling disconnected from your family.
Yeah.
So
and then it goes
you can
back
be
to
tempted to go
stage
backwards just to have that connection with your family.
Right.
It's a challenge.
It is. It is. But your life has transformed.
Absolutely. I wouldn't go back.
Yeah. Does anyone want to share anything else about stage 3? What are you going to say, Kent?
I think that I'm at that point right now in my life. I love slow pitch. Coached it, we're in leagues, teams. I love this sport. I love to play it. I would have to say about 2 weeks ago, I quit my ball team. Yeah, just for the fact that I've come to terms in spirituality where it says that you cannot expect to change for the positive if you're constantly around negative people.
Right.
And I've taken this to heart because my life has been all negative, and I took a step up and I quit my ball team for that fact. I've talked to Janet about this, and I'm sitting here, and it's been 2 games since I quit, and nobody's called, nobody's said anything on Facebook or any of the sort, right? So like you said, I've taken that step, now I'm the outcast. Nobody wants to have anything to do with me because I quit the team, and for whatever reason they think or they've been told, and now I'm not their friend anymore or anything like that, right? So for me to step up and take that step, like Janet, she quit her ball team, but it took her 3 years to do it. I wasn't gonna wait that long. I couldn't do it anymore. The guy just threw the team on me and expected me to run it. Well, I'm not for that. I'm done with that. So I just took the step and I quit.
And does it feel like the right step still?
I pull back and forth,
Yeah.
you know, just because I love the sport. It's back and forth, but I'm not taking the step to go back to where I was. I'm going to stay here. I'll find something else, something more positive. Positive people.
Maybe you'll start a team of your own. You'll just call it Positive Only, or the O Positives. Maybe that'll be your team or something, right? Oh, never mind that. So stage 4, everything has crumbled and you are in the dark, but you must be in the dark in order to understand the light. You look around and are perplexed by the state of the world, the poverty, the greed, the state of the environment. You wonder how this has been allowed to happen. You feel depressed and wonder how you will integrate into society. You have a desire to be a hermit, to be alone, to be with nature. The people around you can't understand. They think it's a phase. And suddenly there is no satisfaction in your life. You feel alone and lost, and you start to question, who am I?
I've been there. Last August. Like the worst time I've ever had depression. Lost a good friend. Lost a few family members that year and like left my job. It was like, wow. But
Yeah.
it's been like being here, getting counseling and like doing everything I needed to do to get better because I wanted to get better. Brings me to where I am at today, which is awesome. But yeah, totally wanted isolation. Just wanted to like, screw Ontario. I want to go live somewhere else and just like leave
moving
all
to the
bums behind.
I always thought that was the answer. When times got tough through life, just take your shit, pack it up, and go somewhere else and start over. And I've done that.
Mm.
I moved down here 20 years ago. For that fact, I started a new life and it doesn't work. Just
But
saying.
it's the same shit, you brought it with you, right? Yeah,
To a new place.
yeah.
Choices we make
Yeah.
keep attracting the same type of stuff.
Because when you run away, you're still the common ground, right?
Yeah.
If you're not working on your own stuff, you still bring yourself to that new situation.
Totally do, yeah.
Which is the realization that everything else externally is not the issue.
Yeah,
Bingo.
absolutely.
Bam.
Yeah. That description that you gave sounds like me when I was deciding if I was going to end my marriage. And just that feeling of total loss, everything falling apart, everything breaking down. And it's like, do you continue because it's known, it's comfortable,
Yeah.
or do you sever the ties and create a new life? And creating a new life is not easy, or it wasn't for me anyway.
I don't think it is for anybody, really.
It's scary, right? It'd be the unknown. And,
Well, even though I knew it was the right decision to make, and I was happy for making the decision, the transition was very difficult.
For
So
sure.
a lot of people stay in bad situations, whether relationships or jobs or anything, because it's scary to make the change. And again, you start to lose connections with those people.
There's that adage for a reason, right? The devil you know versus the one you don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
At least I can predict what's going to happen
Yeah.
here. It will continue to be awful, but
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. And you can predict the awfulness, right? Whereas you move into a new situation and
Yeah.
it's unknown, it's foreign.
And I think this sounds a lot like phase 2 in that it sounds like another depressive state.
I was gonna say, I felt like I went through that before even stage 1. Like I just felt like the
Mm.
world was just sad. I like
Right.
when it rains because it feels like we're in a car wash. I don't know. I just,
everything's getting clean and fresh.
yeah, like it just, I felt that before, like the world's in disarray. Like how do we get like this? That was before. I'm waiting to see what's new.
It's that line in particular, the people around you can't understand, they think you're in a phase. I remember that. Oh, she'll outgrow it.
Oh yeah, in my case, it was, your husband makes good money. He can do this, he can do that. So why don't you just stay?
Yeah, like,
Well, what about all the things that doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
All the things that are lacking in the relationship. So I'm supposed to stay for the money?
Does the money make it better?
No.
Can't buy me love.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think, as we were discussing earlier, that we flow through this, right? When I first started my spiritual awakening, I'm sure I never talked to my dad about what he thought was happening in my life at any point in my life, because I was just sure he disapproved, and I didn't need to continue accessing that pain. So I never talked to him. But I assume, that's the caveat there, I assume that he was thinking, she's crazy, and what has she done now? That's it. She's gone off the rocker. When I stopped going to church, when I started dancing all night, when I started just figuring out what this body was and what was I supposed to do with it. I think that's an aspect that we don't really discuss. When we begin to awaken, we realize that we are not just our body. Because I think as we begin to awaken, we connect to how we feel when we're with other people. So the example I always go to with that is, like, if you've walked into a room where two people have been fighting, and there's an adage, you could cut the tension with a knife for a reason. You can feel that. And conversely, when you know you're going to see someone who you love, who always lifts you up, who always makes you feel great, you look forward to it. Oh, I'm going to feel so great. I love to be with that person. They love me. I love them. I hope they love me as much as I love them. And it doesn't have to be like a loving relation, like a sexual relationship. It's just a friendship. I feel that way about friends, right? What's that?
I said, oh, damn.
Well, it could be. But we begin to connect with those people. And I think that's a little bit about what you were talking about with your baseball story, right? That you move away from the people who no longer give you that feeling of peace and joy and understanding. Yeah, the connection as opposed to the disconnect. Exactly. Yes, to connect those two things. And in that state of awakening, we are more aware of the feelings than we are of the physical. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think when you go through, say you go through a really dark period, I think you find out who your true friends are. And you might have a shock and go, yeah, thought those people would stand by. You know, like you might find out who, because it's like somebody said to me, you got to find your new tribe. You know what I mean? And you have the people that may stand by you through a challenge, like you may have stood by them through a challenge. And then it's kind of interesting because I think maybe a hard thing, if you're a loyal kind of person, it's hard to acknowledge. You may have to let some friendships go. Like you may have to, you know what I mean? You may have to say, okay, that person didn't stand by me when I thought they would. And so you think about how you would have stood by them and how you have stood by them in the past.
Right.
And you feel betrayed, but you kind of have to just go, then, you know, just speaking personally, I've reached a point where today, generally I've reached a point, this does not mean 24 hours a day, but there's a new trend in my way of functioning that is, instead of being angry at someone who I may feel betrayed by, I just wish them well. And then I tell myself, okay, I'm letting them go. Even though there's no discussion, and I actually haven't seen this one friend for a while. The last time was the funeral of his father. I just thought, you have to acknowledge that you're at a different place now in life than he is. And you supported through him through some stuff to do with the church that, you know, that you felt as a friend, that's what you do. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I think you have to find a new people who are on the same kind of quest that you are.
I think that's a beautiful expression of the universal law of unconditional love. Well, at the start of this year, we did a study on that. And the part that really tripped a lot of us up was that you have to give without expectation. And so when we're talking about, I stood by that person, why is that person not standing by me? There's expectation of reciprocity, which is an egoic thing as opposed to a spirit
Yeah, but
thing,
there's
right?
not, see, the bottom line is I felt hurt.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line, which I think
Absolutely.
the bottom line, yes, my ego was, oh, geez, what, I'm not good enough to help, I helped you, support
Right.
you. Yeah, I'm not good enough for you to help me, so therefore I'm not enough. So
Totally
that's-
normal
that's the
responses.
surface.
They're totally normal. That's
and
what we
that's a
do.
surface ego thing. But
Yeah.
the bottom line is, I'm not a person who goes out into the world and intentionally hurts people.
Of course.
That has never been my modality. That's just not how I function. Where did that word come from? Some fancy schmancy article I must have read. I've never used the word modality in my entire
Well,
life.
it just rolled off your tongue like that.
So, yeah, but the thing is, I realized after that, I'm coming to the point where I'm realizing, like even with my husband, we get into our little snippy things once in a while, and the one day I read somewhere it said, just send him love. So then I sat there, I shut my mouth, which is hard for me. I shut up, and he was going on and on and on, and I just sat there and I thought, I love this man. I love him. He's so precious to me. I'm so grateful he came into my life.
Yeah.
I wish I'd been a better wife to him, and I'm thinking, but I just sent him love. I sent him love. I sent him love. And all of a sudden, he just calmed right
Exactly
down.
what happens.
And I just went, whoa. So I've been doing it a couple of times. And then eventually I told him, because I thought, I don't like to be.
It works.
I don't have secrets. So from him and everything. But I just kind of am experiencing a new way of dealing with the world and trying to look at others without my ego saying, well, they did this to me, or they didn't do
Right.
that, or they didn't support me. I'm just trying to go, this is a person on their journey. I'm on this journey. Some of us have been going on a similar journey, and some of the people I have to let go. And I have a sadness to that, because
Sure.
I attach to people more quickly than they realize, and they mean more to me than usually they're aware of. So therefore, for me, this is a thing that, I realize that in a way I'm grieving people who I haven't seen even
Yeah.
in a few years,
Yeah.
but I'm grieving letting it go. But I'm also waking up to the fact is, how many people are on this planet? 7 billion, whatever. And I'm going, okay, there's a big inventory out there of
Yeah.
people, and what I want to do is put out the energy to attract the kind of people who are open to looking at things spiritually,
Yeah.
and who are open to being loving and supportive, and helping one another, but not in a what's in this for me way.
Right. And I would say too, I think it's a little bit important to know, in my view, the way I see relationships is that we do this. It's like a Venn diagram, right? Of circles that overlap. And there's a natural period where we are together and we mean a lot to each other. And then there is a natural period where we are apart for a time. We're not connecting for whatever reason. And the relationship ultimately comes back as it is meant to, if it is meant to.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not to say that these people will come back into your life, but it's to say that we have no idea where we are on our Venn diagram. And sometimes they begin to awaken and I finally figure out what happened. Oh my God, I got so triggered by what you were going through because I wanted what you were experiencing and I didn't know how to do that. Will you help me now?
Yeah, but actually I've come to realize, I think there's conscious awareness and unconscious awareness. And I think, and this isn't a judgment on them, they have different lives than I have.
Right now, yes.
You know what I mean? They have different lives, and they have very busy lives. And just the fact that my husband's retired and I am in effect retired, we just don't have that. We don't have the kind of life that they have. And actually, my interests have changed.
Right.
So the reason that I was with them as friends, I have all the stuff to do it. I just don't do it. And I'm thinking maybe this is time to get rid of it. Anyway, I could go on and on and on. So I will.
Well, thank you for sharing. Do we have anything else that we'd like to say on stage 4? Feeling alone and lost and questioning, who am I? No? Trying to decide if we should push it and do stage 5.
Push it.
All right. You realize that you don't need to change the world. This is what you were just talking about. How perfect. You start looking within and realize that through changing yourself, you will automatically change the world. You start feeling a greater sense of connectedness to the world. You start focusing your attention on love and gratitude. You may even start studying or researching spirituality or all things metaphysical. You slowly start changing your perception of the world and realize that you are on this earth for a reason. Sounds like the glory stage.
The glory.
Yeah, doesn't it sound beautiful?
It does. It does.
Like when I was reading these lines, I felt this total lessening of the pressure. You know, the one before about why is the world in such a state and what am I going to do about it, and having to cleanse all these relationships. And here, you don't have to do anything but love. Come on, that's like my motto. I love it.
I think that stage is why most of us are here, like part of the research and like gathering new people and expanding
The tribe.
the tribe. Yeah.
Anybody have any comment?
I think that stage also is something that helps me bring focus back to my intention of being here, my human experience. Let me do that again. When I get caught up in like society's roles for people, or like
Right.
where I'm supposed to be at my age and all that sort of stuff, I just sort of like, I look outside and I'm like, all this nature has been here forever, and like it's surviving. Like I can survive without, like, society's always changing. It's been, you know, living off nature, and then it is what it is now with industrialization. Like there's a way of surviving in all aspects of society, so I shouldn't have to be focused on necessarily fitting in to other people's plans of where I should be if I have a choice.
And
Yeah.
maybe at the end of our lives, all those people that we're concerned are judging us, where will they be? They won't be with us probably. The ones we truly care about, in the end, the ones we truly care about and that truly respect and care about us will be with us. But those, like, I've lived my whole life going, I need everyone's approval. You know what I mean? And for me, the last thing is needing my mother's approval and having to come to terms with, no, you don't need her approval.
No.
You're 59 years old. You're never going to get it. You don't need it. And that's okay. I'm trying to, you know what I mean? I'm working on that it's okay. And that's a big leap for me because, like I said, I used to go out into the world and just like, what does everybody think of me? And now I don't do that. I'm going, okay, where am I going? You know, why am I going here? What can I learn from it or something? Like it's a different, my whole way of thinking my whole life, because I went through, and I said it before, and this is not to harp on, even though the shadow animal, the rabbit, I thought I read that and went, ooh, that was such a good one, Julia, that you put on Facebook. But I went through 5 years of severe withdrawal from an antidepressant that I went on because of brain tumors and strokes and cancer, various loved ones, et cetera. There was a number of years. And I went on this antidepressant and I decided to give it up after a while. What happened was the depression, it wasn't a depression, it was the withdrawal, didn't see this coming, was so weird. It was it was hell on earth. I can't believe I'm still here. What it was 5 years of every negative thought I'd ever had about myself in my entire life. I woke up in the morning, I burst into tears, I sobbed for an hour. I had no control over it. My husband would hold me. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd move from the bed to the couch. I could barely stand up. I would burst into tears for an hour and sob. And for a month, I obsessed about money. For a month, it then switched to famous people. Why couldn't I be this famous person? For a month, it switched to the people I went to school with. It became doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, and we're on the Forbes, list, millionaire, whatever. And my husband couldn't say anything to me. We couldn't fix it. We couldn't do anything. I had like 30 body symptoms, and it changed my body. In a year, I lost 100 pounds, which I had gained. I had never been overweight. I gained that on the antidepressant. I lost 100 pounds in a year, lying on a bed and a couch.
Right.
That's how, and I went through, when you see movies, somebody going through withdrawal from the illegal drug, I used to think, this was like, I cannot believe I survived it. And what it did is, what the biggest, I think, kind of, because I went, why did this happen to me and everything? And then I thought, well, you know, my doctor said, take an antidepressant. No, I don't want to. And then I took it. And what happened was I realized that that was a ripping my life right away, like ripping away everything in my life. And I was lying there just looking at the vase of flowers my husband would bring from the garden, just looking at them and reciting 3 lines of the song over and over again. He bought a Kobo. I'd read 1 sentence of a book, a line, I'd have to read it 3 times to comprehend it. If there was a hyphen, like M-O-hyphen-M-E-N-T, I would go, what's a moment? What's a moment? What does that? And I had to, so I went through this hell that I'm amazed I survived, but the thing is, it ripped everything in my life away, except for like my husband and, you know, my loved ones and the best friends I had. And it has made me realize how what we think is so powerful and has energy to it, but you can't, and we read this in articles and we listen to talks and blah, blah, blah and stuff like that. But I think what has to happen is you have to reach a hell that is so painful that it's wanting to get away from that. The need to get away from that is greater than the fear you have to overcome to create a new life.
Right.
Did those words come out right?
Yes. Yes.
So it's just kind of, it was a real eye opener. That was I've had other awakenings in life, but you know, like I said in the past, my brother's suicide and stuff sort of was an awakening, but that just shocked me. And even my husband, because I said to him, I think I'm the weakest person I know. He said, no. And I said to him a couple of weeks ago, I realized I'm actually a very strong person, more than I give myself credit for. But that really was like the, you know, like I said, ripping away every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
And I wake up now and I go, I don't know who I am. And I'm freaking out going, how can you be 59 and not know who the heck you are? But I'm starting to get a tiny glimmer of excitement going, okay, so create what you want.
Yes.
Create what you want. You never did it for yourself before. You betrayed yourself in the past. And you know, a high school teacher said to me, to thine own self be true, and I never realized what she meant. At 59, I now know what she means. So that's, you know, the awakening that's the, I don't even know what stage I'm in. You're reading those stages, and I'm going, well, yes, some of that, no,
Yes.
not that. Yes, some of that.
But that's the
So I'm
thing,
going, at
right?
this
I think
point
we're in multiple stages.
I'm on my spiritual path, feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Check with me
In an hour.
Yeah. I don't think it's a straightforward linear.
No,
I think it's
I
like
agree.
you said, the cha-cha or whatever you
Yeah.
forward, backwards, forward, backwards, forward,
Yeah.
backwards. And I think that's the,
I think so.
you know, and that, so it's, and it's nice to come, not to hear people suffering, but it's nice to hear other people have hit their low things and are, you know, work. And you don't hear about that in society because everyone puts their Facebook page, everything's perfect, and they have the perfect life and everything's wonderful.
Right.
So it's kind of, you know, I think it's good to know there are people out there having their issues and having their trials that they have, that, you know, their mountains to climb.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Exactly. Well, thank you for sharing. I think we'll stop at stage 5 and we can pick it up next week or perhaps the week after. Thank you for joining us, and watch us on Facebook, watch us on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.